Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Welcome to today's masterclass on the Rose Path, the Mars Rose Path. I am recording this. There are a lot of people who are in different time zones. And also, I forgot that it is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you who are sitting down right now for Thanksgiving dinner or lunch. Or prepping it, and you'll get the recording after the show. So today I want to apologize for my video. I've been traveling, and I cannot find the video camera that doesn't keep zooming in. So it keeps zooming in on me, and I'm really sorry. It's a bit annoying to me. I hope it's not too annoying for you. But it's what I got. So let's get started. And I'm actually going to start with a prayer. And this is the Lord's Prayer, and it's in Aramaic. It is the direct translation from Aramaic, and it's so beautiful. And it really embodies something important about this path. O brother, mother, father of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. You focus your light within us, make it useful, as the rays of a beacon show the way. You create your reign of unity now through our fiery hearts and willing hands. Your one desire then acts with our will as all light, so in all forms. Grant what we need each day in bread and insight, sustenance for the call of growing life. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we release the strands we hold of others' guilt. Don't let us be forgetful, but free us from unripeness. From you is born all ruling will, the power and life to do, the song that beautifies all, the ages to age it renews. Truly, power to these statements. May they be the source with all of my actions grow. Seal in trust and faith. Amen. So this is directly from Aramaic, the Lord's Prayer. There's a couple of things that I really love about that prayer. And first of all, it helps to come into the space to do a prayer, but also it embraces the mother and the father, the masculine and the feminine, the cosmos, from which all of these paths emerge, particularly in the path that I'm going to share with you today. And it really is about a path of it's really a path of finding our growth through our will and through our light and through our heart. And this is exactly what the Rose Path is about. So I'll get started and share my screen. And just do the slideshow. Right. And so I've called it the Rose Path. And the Rose Path is, I'm going to go into that in much more detail, but this particular path is the virtues of the heart. And I've called it the virtues of the heart as Excalibur. And Excalibur is actually the sword, the name of the sword that shows up in the King Arthur Percival tales. So this particular Capricorn Mars Rose Point, and I'm going to get into what exactly that is happening on January 6th, 7th. And that's in 2026. So it's coming up. We're in the lead up to that energy right now. And it's a very, very important energy and source of alchemy. The planets are giving us this alignment so that we can step into this powerful alchemy of masculine and feminine. So it is one of the paths of the seven spheres. And if you don't know what the seven spheres are, they are the seven planetary spheres, and they show up in just about everything in every culture. And the seven spheres specifically in this path are from the moon up to Saturn. And each of those paths helps us develop something inside of us that leads to our spiritual growth. And it starts with the moon, which is our emotions, and goes through Mercury and so on. And so this in particular is the Mars path. And part of the Mars path is connecting with the Sun and Venus in this particular configuration of it. So it develops our masculine, that is our will, our actions, and our drive, and our motivations. And it is all about balancing the masculine and feminine within us. And this is important because as above, so below, as within, so without. And so it's actually the work that we do within ourselves that makes the big difference in our world. And so as we move into an age of a golden age or an age of enlightenment or whatever you want to call it, the real work is doing the work within, and then that shows up without. And the cosmos is giving us some help in being able to do that. So the Mars rose points provide a focus for that development, and we can do it consciously or we can do it unconsciously. We can express it consciously or we can express it unconsciously. We can express it in a higher form or we can express it in a lower form. And so this path is really about consciously deciding to work within ourselves and to work with the energy consciously and to develop our higher expressions of the energy. So the Mars rose point, so this is the point within the path, is a 32-year path. So the rose path is, Mars rose path is 32 years. And in those 32 years, Mars makes an average of 14 conjunctions with the sun. And this is very important because it shows up in a lot of mythologies. When we see 14 in mythology, we know that it is speaking about Mars. And within those 14 conjunctions, there are 5 that are made with Venus. And so those 5 Venus, Mars, Sun conjunctions are reflected in the stories of Nergal and Ereshkigal, Osiris and Isis and Nephthys, Mary and Jesus. And so if you look at the 14 stations of the cross, you will see that in those 14 stations, there are 5 that are with women. And so those are reflecting those 5 rose points with Venus. So the rose path, like I said, is 32 years. And within that 32 years, Mars follows Venus and the Venus cycle. And so if you don't know what the Venus cycle is, it's an 8-year path of Venus, and Venus traces a rose over 8 years and makes a conjunction with the sun at particular points in the zodiac. And Mars joins that cycle, like I said, over 32 years. And so every 6.4 years, so a much longer period of time, it connects with Mars and Venus. So Mars, Venus, and the sun make a stellium. They don't usually make an exact conjunction. We have a very close conjunction coming up in January at 16, 17 degrees of Capricorn. They come within a very close proximity, so we call it a stellium. And it's still important because it is when Mars and Venus are in the underworld. And so when they are behind the sun, they are hidden from our view, and it's considered the underworld. And so these stories of Ereshkigal, Nergal and Ereshkigal and Osiris going into the underworld and so on are all about these planets coming into the underworld and the effect that they have on us in our development and our experiences. And so they provide that underworld experience for us. So I have a video here that it does demonstrate what Mars is doing. So I need to just let you know that I work with the Tychos. And the Tychos is an updated version of the Tycho Brahe system. And if you happen to be an astrologer, you should really know the Tycho Brahe system, and you should get to know the Tychos because it completes it, it updates it. And what it really is Mars and Venus, Mars and the Sun in overlapping orbits. So you'll see that in this video. And so you you will see Venus going around, and Venus is in the inner part of the circle, and the grayish or whitish dots are the points at which Venus is making the conjunction with the Sun. And then on the outer side is Mars. And so when it's making the conjunction, here in the center is Earth. And from Earth, we're looking at Venus, and then past Venus is Mars. Sometimes Venus, this is all Venus in a superior conjunction. Sometimes Venus is in the inner loop here on the other side of the Sun. So you can see, and this actually has the zodiac. If you want, you can go to the Tychosium and play around with it and see this yourself. The zodiac is sidereal, so it's not showing a tropical zodiac. It's showing you a sidereal zodiac. All right, so Mars follows Venus in her rose cycle. And why is this important? Why is this important for a spiritual path? And you may have heard that it's the woman who initiates the man. And this is very true. It's really Mars, this Martian energy, this Mars drive, ambition, will, which has Mars has no values. It just wants what it wants. Mars is going to get what it wants to get. It's going to get job, it's going to get the girl, it's going to get the guy. It's just action and will without any filters to it. And where the filter comes in is through Venus or Mercury. And in this case, we're talking about Venus. And Venus is our values and our worth, and it's our femininity, and it's really connecting us to truth and the heart. And so you can see that once we connect our will, our actions, our ambitions through the heart, through the developed heart, our will, our actions, our directions take a different meaning. They become heart-centered. And so this is a very powerful path for connecting our drive and our will through our heart. And the Mars point is giving us some information about where we should focus for the next 6.5 years, basically. It really is important to have your emotions developed, or the moon path in the 7 spheres. The moon is where you find connection to your emotions. You're able to understand your emotions, or have a way to connect with your emotions in a healthy way and find resonance. It's also really helpful if you've worked on your thoughts through meditation or through education or many of the other Mercury paths. And it's also very important if you've developed your Venus path. So the Venus star points are very important for that. And it's really helping us to develop our value and our worth and our femininity. And all of us have masculine and feminine within us. And so this isn't just for men and for women, it is within all of us that we work on these things. If particularly women right now, I find women there is a resurgence of the divine feminine. There is a beautiful emergence of Mary Magdalene and so on. That's beautiful energy. And you'll see a lot of workshops and so on that focus just on the feminine, focus on the feminine rising. And this path is much more about the feminine coming into balance with the masculine. Now, this is very difficult for some, for many, it's going to be very difficult because the feminine wounds are so large. So if you've gotten to a place where you've done a lot of work on the feminine, this is a nice place for you to go, because it's the next step. It's the step up on the ladder, on the seven spheres. And when you step up one, start working on the masculine and that connection with masculine and feminine, you will heal that feminine, the Venus path. So sometimes we can get stuck in one layer or one level, and really to get out of it, you go one step up. So one step up is going to help with that transformation that may need to happen on the Venus path, or maybe it doesn't need to happen and you're in a really good place with your femininity, your sense of worth, your sense of value. But that is it's a very important thing. And then when we get to the Mars path, we're really aligning our will, our ego, our will with our ego, which is the sun. And this is, I'm going to get into this in a minute because it's really in the Tychos model, it's really Mars and the sun that are in this overlapping orbit that speak to the partnership. And Venus is the path, is the heart. It's the path to that relationship. So the other paths on the seven spheres are about Jupiter and Saturn, and those are a little bit higher up, and they talk about leadership, and they talk about being a wise one or an elder. And they are, you must go through all the other paths in order to get to the Jupiter path and the Saturn path. And so if you're stepping into leadership positions, and we definitely need some good leaders out there, we need a big change in leadership, this is the place that you want to go with Mars, because then stepping into leadership will be a whole different game. It will be leadership from the heart. And that's really important as we step into the age of Aquarius, if you want to call it, or the golden age, or whatever you want to call this energy that we're moving into. So the Tychos really helps us to understand the Mars Sun cycle. Mars and the sun are in overlapping orbits. And I have a video, I'm just gonna play a tiny bit of it. The Mayans were really good at recording the planetary movements, and they did so in something called the Dresden Codex. That video is on my website, and I really encourage you to go listen to it. It's maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It is a short explanation of how and why Mars and the sun are in overlapping orbits. And interestingly, it was known by the Mayans, and it was known by the Sumerian, Babylonian, Mesopotamians. It's recorded, and it is focused on the path that Mars actually makes. And what we do now in Copernicus kind of world is that we take an average of the Mars cycle, and they went much more detailed. And when you do that, you can see the actual binary star relationship. And so we consider Mars and the sun 2 stars. And there are other hints of that in other texts, that there might be a binary star in our solar system. Many people believe it's with Sirius. Sirius is a little too far out. I actually believe it's Mars and the sun, and that we are in a double binary with Sirius. So Sirius is still part of our important cycle. So the sun has these 2 helpers with it in the Egyptian pantheon. Venus is Isis, and Nephthys, the dawn and the dusk. And they are always there guiding the solar disk and across the sky and through the night. So Isis is the morning star, Nephesis is the evening star. And as we go through this cycle, I will clarify what that really is, but we're currently in an Isis cycle. So, and Isis is the one who helps put Mars back together, who helps put Osiris back together, the 14 different pieces. So there's the 14 again that's telling you that Osiris is Mars. Okay, so the Mars point that's coming up in January, it's at 16, 17 degrees of Capricorn. And again, it's not an exact conjunction, it's within those degrees. And so I'm going to go through what that means for us personally and for the timeline of the return to the golden age. So basically, as I said, Venus initiates Mars into the heart and into those higher Capricornian values. And in this case, it's Capricorn because the conjunction or stellium is happening in Capricorn. And so Capricorn is all about achievement. And so what we're looking at is achievement is not just for achievement's sake. Our actions are to build structures, and Capricorn is about structures as well for higher values. Our authority that we express is authentic and it commands respect and responsibility and patience. And Capricorn is also very sensual and humorous, and it could be very sarcastic. That's a classic kind of type of humor from a Capricorn, but it's always with respect when we are moving through the heart of Venus in this way. So the ruler of this energy is Saturn. And if you've been following the planets, you know that Saturn is with Neptune, and it's going to be and has been making this very powerful conjunction at 0 Aries. So the exact conjunction, I believe, is February 20th of Saturn and Neptune at 0 Aries. It's the world point. So what we do personally, like I said, is going to really impact what happens in the world. And it's sacred, I would say it's sacred warrior energy being completely transformed, tested. Saturn is tests. It's digging deep within ourselves and finding courage. And it isn't necessarily an easy path, but the Neptunian energy is bringing in the sacredness to the energy. You might have noticed some prep to this in the full moon, January 10th, because it was at this degree, 17 degrees of Capricorn. And you may have been releasing old structures. And I have no idea what I was writing there, but my slide is missing some words. But it is, I'm not sure what that is meant to say, but this is the very powerful energy of this Mars point. Capricorn, it's not exactly flowery, lovey-dovey energy. It's very much about the structures, about the responsibility, the respect, the patience, the Capricornian things that are very important. Now, I just want to touch on some of the things that Capricorn can be if we don't consciously move into this energy. And I'm just going to see if I have a note on that last little point there, which on the, okay. Yeah, I don't. But anyways, the lower energies of Capricorn are really about being cold and callous and driven to achieve without any concern for anybody. And Venus isn't necessarily comfortable in Capricorn. She can be very pessimistic or very cold and callous. But when we step into that sacred energy, it's much more of what I'm describing here. And so the the areas that we are going to be looking at are where we are not respectful, not responsible, where we are not stepping into the virtues of the heart. And it's where maybe we aren't stepping into a courageous energy with it all. And it really is through Venus, really through the heart, where we will be I'm getting tongue-tied, where we will be focusing and building up the Mars energy, again being our actions, our will, our what we're stepping into. Now, I said Mars and the sun are partners. Well, what's the sun's role? The sun is really our ego. It's really our light that we are shining. And so what we're doing at this time is we're incorporating the heart into our ego and into our actions. So the heart, sun and Mars are coming together as ego and will through the heart. So this cycle shows up. And so it's not in astrology, it's not talked about very much, but this shows up in many cultures and many myths, and particularly in the Celtic and Knights Templar stories. So if I click on this, you'll see this is the Ogrim, and I always say it wrong, but this is the Celtic alphabet. And in the center there, they have the 4 pentagrams that I was talking about. And they make up the cross and the pentagram. So how do I get back? This is always my challenge when I'm doing this. Okay. Yes, here we go. So the Celtics have a connection to the story. The Knights Templar do, and I'm clicking on this again. I'm going to just show you the.
This Black Friday, you're going to be seeing so many ads.
Sorry about the Black Friday sales.
Here's a warning. I'm going to show you a list of this.
What is the sacred geometry of the Knights Templar cross? If we put 4 circles around a circle, then we see the Portuguese version. So I just forgot that I actually did put that in here in the actual. So this is just a short video. I put it on geometry of the Knights Templar. I put it on the. I put it on Instagram. And it really talks about the cross and the pentagram. So I want to just play it here because it's really important to show you how the 4 pentagrams over the 32-year cycle really do make the cross. What is the sacred geometry of the Knights Templar cross? If we put 4 circles around a circle, we see the cross. This is in Bomagisa, Portugal. This is another version of the same Templar cross. It's less polished and it's in Tomar, Portugal. In later versions, they put a square, and this they're doing to hide the Templars' real origin and to go in line with the church. Also commonly found is the pentagram. You can see it in the Church of Santa Maria Ovar. So these symbols have a lot to do with the cycles of Venus, Mars, and the Sun. Venus traces a rose from Venus-Sun conjunction to Venus-Sun conjunction over the course of 8 years, and it makes a rose. It's also a pentagram.
So we can see the pentagram and the dates from 2026. So this conjunction starting in 2026 is also a conjunction with Mars. So Mars is going to make that conjunction with Venus over 32 years. So this is 4 cycles of Venus. So when you map out all 4 of those Venus pentagrams over time, we see the sacred geometry of the Templar cross. And actually, this goes back to Babylonian, Iranian, Sumerian mythologies, and you can see this in the Iranian Assyrian king. So basically, it is a symbol that is connected to the 32 years of Venus, Mars, and the Sun.
So I just want to point out that there were those other points. So they do make a conjunction every 6.4 years. I'll go back to here, that show different points. So this one is Capricorn, there will be one in Libra, and so on and so forth. So you can check out that video. It is on my website, and you can see the other dates in the future. And I think it's really, really telling that this was an important astrological configuration for the ancients, and it's one that we can step into and embrace. So I have put together a little trip in Toledo, Spain, and it's coming up very soon, and so I'm really hoping that I'll have at least a small group that want to go to Toledo, Spain with me. Here you can see this is Spain, the map of Spain, and the geodetic astrology. So geodetic astrology is basically taking the astrology of the day and mapping it over the globe. And when we do that, we can see Venus, Mars, and if I can get I'll show the pointer here. This is up here showing Venus, Mars, and the Sun, and the lines that they are making, and you can see they go right through Toledo, Spain, on that day. And this is actually, if you look underneath, it says this is the sign for the symbol for Venus, and right under it says DS. Well, DS is the descendant. The descendant is the 7th house. So this is actually happening in the 7th house of the chart of the world. 7th house is relationships. And so it has this energy of the relationships, the masculine and feminine in astrology, but also mapped over the map. It's happening in Toledo, Spain, in the 7th house, which is also relationships. So there's this sort of a repeating or a recapitulation of that energy concentrated right there. And I just found this so amazing because, and you also see Saturn here. Saturn is very big in this whole story. But I find this so interesting because I'm going to turn this off. It's also the place where the story of where the Holy Grail came out of. One of the translations was made in Toledo. Toledo, it was the center of education and higher learning, and it was a place where in the medieval age, a lot of books were translated, Plato, and so on. And Plato, Ptolemy, Aristotle, all these books were translated there, and it was multi-religious, and they all got along. So it was Christian, Muslim, Islamic, and Jewish. And so one of the things that they have said, well, Lars Muehl, in his book, The Old Manuscript, mapped out the Kabbalah or the Tree of Life in Toledo, Spain. And he apparently channeled Hayat, who was the person or the Sufi master who was actually translating the story of Parsifal. And Percival is the story of the knight who, there's so many interesting connections with this actually. Percival was, his father was a knight, and his father died in battle. And his mother, uh, terrified that her son would also become a knight, took him into the forest, tried to hide him from that lifestyle, brought him up with, with animals and trees and so on. But one day when he was playing out in the yard, the backyard being the forest, some knights came by, and he was so fascinated with him because it was really in his blood. He wanted to go join them. And so he joined them, and they taught him their ways. They taught him how to be a knight. And when they brought him to the palace where the Fisher King, which was King Arthur, was ill and not doing well, he had an opportunity to really help him. And the key to helping the King Arthur, the Fisher King, was to ask the question. And he didn't ask the question because the knights taught him that he was not to ask questions. That wasn't proper. And so he eventually is able to help the Fisher King when he connects back to what his mother taught him. And his mother taught him some very different things. She taught him to ask questions and to take what he needs and all kinds of different things. And this points to, and I think a lot of people miss this in the Percival story, that the real key is through the mother or through the woman to finding the Holy Grail. And so this is the place where the story is translated. And Kayat is actually I believe he is a troubadour. And troubadour was somebody who did like circus act or music and played the different instruments, but they also carried information across the land to various different people, and they spread stories like this. So it's one that is enduring and then people really love. And the Grail story is really the story about connecting the masculine and the feminine within. So poetically, Toledo is the place where it was translated. It's also the place where Mars, Venus, and the Sun are geodetically running through, and it's on the descendant, which is the relationship house. So I just felt like, wow, this is the place that we need to go if we really want to step into the power of this transformation within ourselves. So I showed you that there is a Saturn line going right down it. And so I need to warn you that this is not necessarily, it could be an easy path. It could be a beautiful, easy path, but it could also be hard work. And so if you're stepping into this, and if you're coming on this trip, or you want to come on this trip, it's something you should know. But the payoff, as Saturnian things always are, the payoffs are great. So let's talk about the itinerary. So this is a picture of Toledo. It is inside of a wall. It's a kind of a walled city, and there's a cathedral in there, and there's lots of like powerful places that, again, Lars Muhl mapped out in the Tree of Life. And there's a lot that's underground as well. There's a whole underground part of this city. So the itinerary, I have to just say, I really wanted the very first part of this to be kind of going into the underground of the city, because it's symbolic of going into the underworld. But so far, I haven't found any permission or any tours or anything like that during the important parts of the week, which are the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when the alignment is happening. They're later in the week. So this itinerary might be switched around if I can make it work. So basically the first day is just the orientation. It's walking the city. And then it's going to point a viewpoint of Mirador de Valle, which I'm sorry if I'm not saying it right, which is overlooking the city. And it's a great place to get a bird's eye view and also to step into the energy that we're working with. And then there is a couple of points within all of the points actually within the Tree of Life we'll visit over the next couple of days. So the different points of the Sephirot nodes, as well as ones that aren't there. Of course, we want to go visit Templar places and different connect to different. It isn't just on the Tree of Life. It's embodying all of it. We want to step into the energy fully and really be guided to whatever is presented to us there. And so it might be with the Tree of Life, or the Jewish, could be the Templar, could be if there's Celtic things there. They also say that the Holy Grail is buried there somewhere. It's one of the legends. So we'll really just step into the energy. By day 5 is when I can see that there's opportunity to go into the underground, into the caves and so on. Hopefully I'll be able to switch that around and connect the ley lines, of course, to the energy of the planets, to the energy of the land. So what I will do is I will put a link to this. I'm going to be sharing this after this masterclass with you. I'll be sending out the video, and I'll also put a link to this itinerary and to any of the links that I've clicked on here, so that you can really consider if this is the right path for you. So let's just see here if I can click out of this. I am so terrible with these various different windows. Here we go. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. And so, do we have any questions? Any questions at all? Excuse me. If there's, sorry, there's no questions. You can email me, or send me an email or a message on Instagram or a message on WhatsApp, and I can provide any information that you may need. Hopefully that was all clear. Thank you so much for joining me for this really quick overview and masterclass, and just checking to see if there's any questions. Okay. All right. Well, so good to see you. I hope that you will join me in Toledo. And even if you don't, I may be doing some actual embodiment exercises of this energy as we move closer towards it and during that time. So I hope you will join me for that. All right. Take care.